I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Smack 'em a gob, it's time for the only news that matters. And Randy Rhoads' life as a guitar wizard has long since been hard-coded into fundamental rock and roll mythos. It's a tale as old as rock. A unique, talented kid spends years grinding on the club circuit without catching a big break until the skies open and an opportunity of a lifetime comes down. In Randy's case, he didn't see the audition for Ozzy Osbourne's solo band as that opportunity. He only agreed to send a tape after friend and future Slaughter bassist Dana Strum talked him into it. On the Prince of Darkness legendary first two solo albums, 1980's Blizzard of Oz and 1981's Diary of a Madman, Randy Rhoads made history. As fate would have it, Randy lost his life in a tragic 1982 plane crash in Florida, never getting to see how big his legacy has left behind. However, rock keyboardist icon Don Airey, who toured with Ozzy in those years, recalled back in 2022 how Randy grew even less content with playing in Ozzy's band toward the end. This is what Airey told Rolling Stone back then. I don't think he was very happy. He wasn't a happy guy toward the end. He wasn't happy with the way things were going. I used to say to him, don't worry about it, man. In 10 years' time, you won't think anything of this. You're young. You get ups and downs and disappointments. You just got to ride it. And it was hard work being on the road with the Ozzy Osbourne band. It was 5 or 6 gigs a week. Reflecting on his late bandmate's personality, Airey said, he used to carry a little portable television with him. If there was a lapse in the conversation, he would just take it out and plug it in and start watching cartoons or something. As for the professional relationship, the keyboardist noted how Randy could seem imposing despite being fundamentally good-natured. He said, if Randy liked something, when I played it on the stage, he let out this laugh. I knew I was doing all right. He was a lovely guy to work with. But he was also a very imposing figure. He knew what he wanted. And he was on the force. He was a force to be reckoned with. At the time, Airey said he still missed Randy, reflecting on the late icon's contagious laughter. He said, I think of Randy every day. I could still hear him. I remember the last time I spoke with Ozzy, I said, I can still hear his guitar in my head. I can still hear his laugh. He had a very infectious giggle if he liked something. He'd have this laugh. Man, I tell you, man, Randy Rhoads to me is, God, there is a lot of tragedies in rock and roll, but the biggest tragedies for me are accidents. You know, drug overdoses are unfortunate, not cool or anything, but that's something that, you know, the person pretty much was in control of what he was doing. And that control led to his death, where Randy had no control. Leonard Skinner had no control. You know, these are people that, you know, were killed when they shouldn't have been killed. And Randy Rhoads is like the heaviest for me. It will always be the heaviest for me. And I've told this story before, but hell, man, I'm going to say it again, man. I saw Randy Rhoads on the Blizzard of Oz tour, front row. Pete Willis, front row too, Def Leppard opened. And my God, it was so mind-blowing seeing Randy Rhoads. It changed my life seeing that guy so close. Doing like, you know, like, and I don't know that what sounds like a whammy bar was actually Randy with that little body and that little frame bending the neck of that white Les Paul to get that wah sound. I never seen anything like that in my life. I was like, God damn, and he was so tiny. I mean, you know, on stage they all look taller, but man, even he was just so skinny, you know? But he had this force, and he wasn't shy on stage. You know, Randy was all over, man. He was jamming out, going crazy. He was just as animated as Ozzy Osbourne. And I walked into that concert, oh man, I can't wait to see Ozzy, not being aware of how amazing this guitar player was. Yes, I heard Mr. Crowley and all that before the show. I heard the album. And I loved his playing. It's like, God, this guy's phenomenal. But it went beyond phenomenal when I saw it live. I couldn't believe how amazing this guy was, that after that show, I was telling all my friends, man, the highlight of that show was Randy Rhoads. I love Ozzy. It was my first time seeing Ozzy, and Ozzy was awesome. But Randy Rhoads, to me, was the star of the show. And I would say this to friends back then. And then they came to do the Orange Bowl, opening for Foreigner. And I told all my friends, wait till you see Randy Rhoads. Wait till you see this guy. You know? And what happens 2 days before that concert? The plane crash. Randy got killed. That fucked me up. I mean, I was very young back then too. And I already did experience John Bonham and Bon Scott, and that was heartbreaking too, but Randy was a little different. See, John Bonham drank himself to death, so did Bon. I mean, Randy was not doing anything to kill him, you know? It was so damn sad. And so, yeah, that's my Randy story, man, and I've lived all this life. Like, if anybody ever said, if you can bring one rock star back from the dead, who would it be? Oh, sure, I can be selfish and say Jimi Hendrix, John Bonham, Bon Scott, Keith Moon. You know, I can say those people, but I always say Randy Rhoads every single time, you know? And it's just sad, man. And, you know, and I also read an interview with Don Airey, him talking about that he saw Randy struggling in the plane with the pilot. Like, he saw them fighting on the plane before it crashed. You know, that's how close they came down to the tour bus, because he was standing outside. What a heartbreaking situation. Damn, that is sad, man. Randy Rhoads, whew, what he could have done. I mean, geez, and that, you know, Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman were pretty much, you know, there's conflicting stories. Some people say they were both recorded at the same time, and some people say they recorded it not that long after the first album. And I can see the huge difference from Diary of a Madman and Blizzard of Oz as far as guitar playing. And geez, it's another stratosphere if you're going to talk about his playing on those Quiet Riot albums. His playing on those Quiet Riot albums, I think, was great. The songs sucked. That was the problem. And then he joins Ozzy, and it's a different style of playing he was doing on those Quiet Riot records. But it was so amazing, and it went so well. So well that it made Ozzy's career. You know, Ozzy lived on for decades after that, you know, with his solo career. But man, those two albums and the hype that Ozzy had at that time with pissing on the Alamo, biting the head off a bat, biting the dove. You know, he was causing so much controversy. And all that was when Randy was alive, when it was just crazy. And it's just crazy to think what Randy would have done next. I mean, he was contracted to do Speak of the Devil. A lot of people don't know this, but Randy Rhoads he didn't want to do Speak of the Devil. They convinced him to do it. They booked an arena in Canada, and it was gonna be pro shot, that Speak of the Devil show. And what happened was, Randy died and it didn't happen. But Randy was supposed to do Speak of the Devil and one more Ozzy solo album, and then he was free to leave. I could just imagine how amazing they would have been, and I would have loved to hear Randy's interpretation of the Black Sabbath song. Randy was not a fan of Black Sabbath, but we all have our faults. I'm just kidding. But anyway, yeah, this is, poor Randy, man. Toward the end, he wasn't happy, but man, did he make his mark. Anyway, and Don Airey's got a new solo album out, and I heard one song from it, and I thought it was really damn good. And I love Don Airey, man. My favorite album of last year was Equals One, or was it Minus One? Whatever. The Deep Purple album. He played on one of Gary Moore's best albums, and oh my God, Rainbow. I can go on and on. Don Airey's been in so many killer bands. He played on Never Say Die Sabbath. Oh, I could go on and on. All hail Don Airey. To me, a living legend is Don Airey. He paid those dues, man. He played on many, many classic albums. And he's played in many classic bands. So, all hail Don Airey. He rules. And I hail you all as well for watching The Only News That Matters. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and ring that little notification bell. And like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath. Did I mention that Don Airey played in Rainbow? That was some good shit. Difficult to Cure. Back to Earth. Down to Earth. Listen to Don Airey and smack him a gob.
Warning.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.